Hey everybody, it's Andy B here, and welcome to part 2 of my top 30 NES games. Yeah, sorry this video didn't come out like when I wanted it to, but some things came up and I wasn't able to work on the video until I had kind of a late start. But anyway, it's here now, so let's just forget all that and start the video. Like I said before, this is RocketBomberAndy's top 30 NES games, part 2, numbers 20 through 11. Let's begin. Similar to the likes of Castlevania 2, Zelda 2 was seen as a disappointment by some in comparison to Zelda 1. And it's interesting that I bring up the topic of Simon's Quest, because Zelda 2 and Simon's Quest do have some similarities about them. The difference is that Zelda 2 is a better constructed game than Castlevania 2. Now, in Zelda 2, you roamed around the overworld, fighting enemies to gain experience, and finding different items to raise your stats, like your HP or your magic, and you go to different towns and palaces to learn magic, fight bosses, get items, leading up to the climactic final boss battle against your dark alter ego, Shadow Link, and he is not to be trifled with. So if you're looking for a challenge in the action RPG department, Zelda 2 may be a game you want to check out. Now, to be completely honest, I'm not really into space shooters. I'm not saying I hate them, but I wouldn't go as far as to call myself a big fan either. That said, Konami's Life Force is still a pretty cool game for the NES, let alone one of the best space shooters of all time. Gaining an inventory of powerful guns to release at your disposal better prepares you for the climactic final boss battle against a giant, evil space viper. That's just awesome. But like any Konami game back in the 80s and 90s, it was pretty hard. Fortunately, Contra wasn't the only game that used the world-famous Konami code that grants you 30 extra lives. I don't have much else to say about this game, but this is a must-play for space shooter fans. Wizards and Warriors is an NES game that just radiates the theme of the medieval times. In this action-adventure game, you journey through forests and caverns to save the prisoner of the evil wizard Malkill. Seriously? Malkill? Is that how you pronounce his name? Really? Whatever, moving on. As you venture through the game, you gain quite the inventory of dangerous weapons and protective armor. And with the legendary power of the Bright Sword beside you, this is one quest to remember for the NES. And you probably noticed that I haven't mentioned a single part of the gameplay for the entirety of number 18. You may call that lazy, but I'm completely okay with that. So I already made a video reviewing this game a while back that you should watch, by the way, so I'll keep this brief. Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu is an NES game that's truly overlooked in the classic platforming genre, probably due to the bad reputation of the movie license games on the NES. Or movie superstar games in this case. Anyway, this game has great graphics for the NES, sweet Japanese-esque tunes, simple yet responsive controls, and the fact that you're playing as martial arts superstar Jackie Chan himself. And not just plain cool. But all my excitement aside, Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu is a really good game, and if you're a fan of Mario or Mega Man, I recommend this game highly. Like Castlevania 2 and Zelda 2, it seemed like all the sequels to big games for the NES always seemed to be very different to the original game. But the reason that Mario 2 comes out on top of Castlevania 2 and Zelda 2 is because it still keeps the Mario feel intact. And yeah, I know the whole story with Doki Doki Panic and how it's not really a Mario game and it's a lie, whatever. This game's very interesting because, for a game that wasn't supposed to be a Mario game, it adds tons of recognizing faces to the Mario series, like the Shy Guys, Pokies, and even Birdo. It's weird, it's colorful, and just plain fun. It's Super Mario Bros. 2, and I love it. And so should you, making it the number 16 spot on this list. Double Dragon is one of the most remembered beat-em-ups of all time, and for good reason. Sure, the later Double Dragon games are better, or at least Double Dragon 2, because Double Dragon 3 sucks, but the first Double Dragon is more nostalgic in my opinion. This arcade classic sure is mindless, but beating up random dudes to save your girlfriend is one heck of a good time. As you advance further through the game, you gain quite an arsenal of different moves to unleash, including the headbutt, the jump kick, the hairball, the reverse elbow, the tackle. The most powerful is the retard leap. And no, I did not make that up. And yes, that is hilarious. And this game is good. And I am speaking in fragmented sentences, and I'm going to move on to number 14. Thank you. They're lean, mean, and green. They're the Ninja Turtles, and they're back in this awesome beat-em-up for the NES. Unlike TMNT 2 being an 8-bit port of the arcade game, TMNT 3 was built from the ground up, and it's the best of the TMNT games for the NES. Even though it's not as remembered as Double Dragon, I still think it's the better game, thanks to its few years of improvement in the beat-em-up department. Multiple stages of 2-player co-op action, fighting your way through the familiar faces of the Ninja Turtles universe, is one of the best things a Ninja Turtles fan could ask for. And that's exactly what this game delivered, giving it the number 14 spot on my list. DuckTales is one of the most nostalgic video games for the Nintendo Entertainment System, or just in general. But what makes DuckTales so awesome, you ask? Well, let me break it down. This is one of the few video games that's based off a movie or a TV show that's actually good. Good and colorful graphics, addicting platforming gameplay with a non-linear gameplay style, and most importantly, the music. This game's soundtrack is just amazing. Every stage in this game has its own catchy theme. Not to mention its awesome 8-bit rendition of the DuckTales theme song, and I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain how great that song is, or how great this game is, even though I just spent the last minute doing exactly that. Oh, the dramatic irony. Metroid was quite an impressive game for the time, and set the bar for adventure games to come. You see, this game, unlike other games in 1986, was more than just running from left to right. You had to explore every corner and leave no stone unturned to draw the map to the futuristic world of Metroid. With its dark and lonely atmosphere looming you over the entire game, you really had a feeling of being lost in the cold outer reaches of space, and that could really add to the experience, and that's saying a lot for an old NES game. This game kept you wanting to play from start to finish, and it's no surprise why so many gamers spent so many hours on their NESs, yeah, because NESs is totally a plural word, on the classic NES adventure. This is another truly overlooked game for the NES, or should I say, overshadowed. Yeah, see, at first glance, this game probably reminds you of Zelda, and yeah, it took a similar style to Zelda as well. But Chrysalis is more than a cheap knockoff. It's got a great story, especially for the NES, detailed graphics and areas, good variety of weapons and armor with upgrades, not to mention all the magic you can cast, give this game its own identity. Even though this game was overlooked at the time, many people who play it nowadays say it's truly amazing, and some even say it's better than Zelda 1. I mean, hey, everyone's accustomed to their own opinion. But even though I'm not one of these people, this game is sure something else. Ending off part 2 of my top 30 NES games list. See you all for part 3.